Well, that's why we had a period to agree terms. So that's where we got to it. And one of the things was that he wanted a private jet to fly him in and out today. But we said yesterday, we'll do that. In writing, we'll do that. Then they started adding other stuff to it. They didn't even want to let us use his photograph on a poster. You cannot use his image rights. I've never heard anything like it in my life. I mean, Brad's been doing this, not as well, but maybe between us. All as long as together. I've never heard of a fighter never showing up for a press conference for a big fight. You know, he's getting, I'm going to just refer to my notes here, he's getting 8 times more than Tyson got to fight Klitschko, an unbeaten fighter, when he went 8 times more. He's getting more than Joshua got paid to fight Martin. He's getting more than Usyk got to fight Joshua. Champions bank on themselves to win. That's what they do to become the king. You win the title, you get the money. The 20% is there. Any good fighters, like Usyk did, went and beat Joshua, now he's in the big time. Ruiz done the same thing. Tyson did the same thing.
What percentage was I on when I beat Klitschko? About 1%?
It wasn't. It wouldn't have been like that if you'd have been with me at the time. But that's what it was.
We're not going to go over old ground.
No,
Frank,
we're not going to go.
We're going to be scrapping much.
Frank, thank you very much. We are where we are.
Yeah.
Now,
But we are where we are. But we are where we are. But that's just not right. We are where we are. But Dillian Whyte isn't. He's in Portugal. He should be here. It's disgraceful that he's not here. It's not professional. If somebody else had won a purse bid, we would have helped to make that work. We'd have been Tyson or anybody, and he's done it. He goes to the press conference. This is madness.
Thank you, Frank. Congratulations, Tyson, on everything you have achieved, from coming from the other side of the card to being the unquestioned draw, the undisputed #1 at this time. So I mentioned a couple of legendary moments at Wembley Stadium, old and new. So now it's your turn. What does that mean to you to have your opportunity here at Wembley, back home in the UK, after, as Frank says, 4 years?
Yeah, it's been an absolutely roller coaster of a ride. I've been across the Atlantic Ocean, in the exotic venues of MGM Grand, T-Mobile, Staples Center, and I just feel like the song Thin Lizzy, the boys are back in town. 4 years away, and I get to come back and showcase on the world's biggest stage at Wembley Stadium with 100,000 people there. I'm just putting it on so the fans can come. The people who travelled to Las Vegas, not everybody was able to come. For the people who stayed up till 5 in the morning to see those fights on BT Sport, so now they can come and they can enjoy event on home soil and be a part of history. And people will be talking about this event, saying, "Where were you when this happened?" In a few years to come, people will be sitting back and thinking, where were you on that night of 23rd of April 2022 when Tyson Fury smashed this fella to pieces in front of the home fans in the UK. And I believe the biggest British heavyweight fight probably since Lewis Bruno, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
There hasn't been a bigger one since. An all-British showdown for the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the world. Fantastic event, and I know Dillian Whyte's going to come in prepared, and he's going to come in rugged and rough and game and aggressive, and he's got a big left hook, a big right hand, and who knows, it could be me chinned on night. But I think that both fighters are going for the knockout in this fight, and I just think when I land the Lancaster bomber on his jaw, it's going to be over. That could be in round 1, and it could be in round 6. I don't see it going past them, Frank. No. But I'm looking to put on an excellent night, showcase of knockout boxing for the UK fans, and then sing a load of songs afterwards and have a good time. Party on down and the big smoke.
You've already given us a little insight into what the ring music would be on the night, which is fantastic, incidentally. Good choice. The boys are back in town. You are back in town. There is no Dillian Whyte here today, Tyson. In recent times, we have watched you on these occasions, if I may say, almost winning the first round on these occasions, getting inside the mind of your opponent. Are you disappointed today that you are not having the chance to try to do that against Whyte?
I'm not concerned, because this is the Tyson Fury roadshow, and the next stop is London, United Kingdom. It's never about the opponent, like whether it's his face on there or somebody else's. It's really unimportant. He's ugly anyway, it doesn't really matter. Take him down, we should take him down, Frank. This is about this man over here and celebrating his legacy and his boxing career. and celebrating it on the biggest stage that the world can get, really. And it doesn't matter if it's Dillian Whyte, doesn't matter if it's Joe Joyce, Derek Chisora, Anthony Joshua, Usyk. It doesn't really matter. Wherever it will stop next, it's always going to be the Tyson Fury roadshow. And like I said when I was fighting Klitschko, there's only been one man on these shores ever. And he goes by the name of Tyson Fury. I'm the only man on these shores. The only man who can deliver, pull it out every single time when the pressure's on. And even when I'm put down twice in the 4th round, I will get back up and knock a motherfucker out. Because that's what I do. I feel like I needed to stand up and say that, Frank.
That's not a speech for sitting down. You know, you should have got on the table.
Brad,
Are you not entertained?
Brad, if I could turn to you for a moment, please. There's obvious frustration that Dillian Whyte is not here. But with a global perspective on this fight, would you say to our audience today that Whyte, A, deserves an opportunity, and B, is a very credible threat, as I think Tyson has just intimated?
He's certainly a credible threat. I mean, he's one of the top available contenders. You know, you've got the other guys that are in line, but he's number one. He's here. He's going to be fighting Tyson. May not be here on the day of the press conference, but he'll be here on the night. It's unprofessional, like Frank alluded to earlier, that he's not here today. But we get past that, we'll move on, and it'll be a historic night.
And in the longer view of all of this is for everybody, really. Is it possible to say that Whyte has been unlucky to have popped up in the era of Anthony Joshua, and particularly the way Tyson Fury has flourished?
I think everyone. I think everyone is second best to Tyson. So in the ring, in personality, entertainer,
In looks.
that goes without saying.
Choice of music.
It will be on the 23rd. You'll find out. It will be. It'll be an unfortunate for him on the 23rd, because everything about this is somebody who he doesn't want the head-to-head. Don't want to be looking. I remember, in the free fights in the States, when we were out there for the free fights with Wilder, the first one, it was all quite jolly, in as much he thought it was going to be okay. And then Tyson got to him. And after that, the next two fights, he just didn't want to engage. Remember, he with a head.
Hosting that's fit for your business? Ionos. Websites, hosting, domains. Ionos.
And I think Dillian Whyte's worried about that. That's why he's not here.
What about the technical?
It's the same as we prepare for every single fight. We train hard, we eat well, we sleep, eat, train boxing. He's no different to many of the other opponents that I've fought in my career. They're all dangerous, they've all got a puncher's chance. They all want to win, and they know that riches and glory, that I'm not going to annihilate Dillian Whyte, just like there wasn't with Deontay Wilder and everybody else I fought in my career. Even when I've been a heavy underdog, I've never had the doubt of losing. Even when I went to Germany all those years ago and beat Klitschko, I never had the doubt that I was going to lose the fight. And that's my biggest asset, confidence. So at the latter end of my career, long in the tooth as I am, at nearly 34 years old, I would never let that go away from me. I have to be supremely confident in my own ability, which I am. And I believe that I could beat Dillian Whyte with one hand tied behind my back and 1 foot off the floor. That's how confident I am.
Are you viewing this as the start of the grandest period of your career? Because you have spoken at length about your desire, and the destiny you feel to become recognised as one of the all-time greats, if not even, judged on the record perhaps, up the road, the best of all. So there's still a long way to go to that. Is this the start of the next stage now that you're back in the UK?
For me, it's just another fight along the old milestone. And I always said I was not interested in what people thought of me, how they rate me among the fighters of the past, whether they rate me at number 1 or number 201. It's really important to me, because when I'm finished with boxing, it's done for me. I don't care what people say, because I've had my 5 minutes of fame in the sun. Probably, what's going for now, 7 years, Frank, innit? So it's been a long old journey in the sun. I've got a good old tan on me. But when I'm done, and I don't care about where people rate me, where they don't. And like I say, I'm 34 years old, and most of the greats were already finished at this age. So I don't have a long, luxurious career left in me. Or they've been beaten. I've come close a few times, but when I've had to deliver, I always have.
That's why the people have loved your performances.
Yeah, and it's come a long way. It's come a long way. I started off as the brash, overconfident kid, the pretender, who nobody thought could do anything. I was a disaster waiting to happen. And then I've changed it all, and I've come and I've become world champion twice, and set records, set precedents, and overcame all the odds. Even though when they were stacked against me, I overcame a lot. And I think the latter end of my career has been so much more tasty than the first half of me. I call it 2 careers I've had. Yeah. The comeback has been so much more fulfilling for me because I had so much more to overcome, so much more of a bigger journey to climb and a bigger story to tell. And it's been a fantastic, luxurious, Grand Slam, Hollywood slam dunk of a career, of the second career. And it's been amazing, and it's been an absolutely fantastic journey. And Frank Warren and Bob Arum and all the guys, all the team, and everybody who made it possible for me to be here today, and is in this position. So a big thank you to you guys. And I don't think Frank gets enough credit for the massive purse bid he did. For this fight, BT Sport and ESPN and Bob Arum. Because like he said, it broke all records of this sport. It's been going a long time. And for me to be the record holder of the highest purse bid in the history of our sport, I think we deserve to give Frank Warren a clap. Go on, Frank. Or I can give him a clap.
That doesn't happen at every press conference, does it, Frank? You picked up the pieces, 4 or 5 years ago now. What are your thoughts about what Tyson has achieved to this point? And moreover, Frank, what are your ambitions for Tyson going forward from here?
You say picks up the pieces. I mean, he picked himself up. You know, he was. I mean, it's well documented. I think he was well and truly at the bottom of you could be. You know, he's in an abyss, and he got himself out of it. He knew that boxing. I felt he knew that boxing would be his saviour. He worked hard. He had to lose a tremendous amount of weight. Was it 10, 11 stone, 140 pounds? Yeah. He had to lose that. And he did it. And you could see that for me, there was a spark in his eye. I mean, I was involved. We did a few fights together earlier on. And I remember making a fight with him against Derek Chisora the first time. And Derek Chisora's coming off some good wins. And I felt that Derek Chisora would beat him, but he destroyed him. I mean, absolutely destroyed him. He didn't know a second of a round. And I said to him after the fight, "You'll beat Klitschko." I really felt he would do, which he did do. But coming back from where he came back from, forget about the boxing, that's a man to do that. You know, he's got family that supports him, like a very good family. They're all around him, they're strong people. But you've got to be a strong person yourself to get through and do what he did. And I just think that he's a phenomenal person. There was a few things in the past that obviously, again, have been documented. But look what he's done for the inspiration for mental health in this country and worldwide. I mean, we get letters in the office all the time to pass on to him, where he's been an inspiration to people, and it's marvellous. But he's I've been around now, God knows how long in boxing. It's a long, long time. But for me, he's without a doubt the best, and I know we've talked about Lennox Lewis and the guys, but I think he's the best heavyweight in my time, British heavyweight in my time, and he's certainly the best heavyweight of his generation, bar none. And he did what nobody else could do. He went to Germany and beat Klitschko, boxed his head off, absolutely boxed his head off. Went to the States, beat the hardest punching heavyweight statistically. Not once, 3 times. In three different fights. They were all different fights. He boxed him. He fought him. He went out and knocked him over. I mean, all different types of fights. And that's the versatility and the boxing brain that Tyson Fury's got. And for me, and I mean this with the greatest respect, there's no miles on the clock. I mean, he had 1 fight in 2 years. That's all he's had. And you look at his record, the stop-start in his record. He's a phenomenal fighter. It's got to be somebody extra special to beat Tyson Fury. That is if there is somebody extra special to beat him. He's a phenomenal boxer, and he's a phenomenal person to do what he's done and come back from where he was.
Brad, this all looks straightforward in a sense to us because the British public, we sense it all the time, have bought so much into Tyson Fury for reasons in and out of the ring. But for yourself and Bob Arum and the American public, all we see is the week of the fight, those wilder fight weeks. What has his impact been wider in America? And what does this fight do for the business of Tyson Fury globally?
Certainly. Look, we're talking about, this is a Hollywood movie in action as we're speaking. You know, this is an amazing character, fighter, person. You know, I don't need to repeat everything Frank's already mentioned. The American public has taken to Tyson as the primary fighter in our country. They love him. His history, you can see it when they show up to events. You know, coming over back here, I think just adds to that history and tradition. He'll be back to the U.S. So it's just terrific from top to bottom, and we're thrilled to be part of it.
We're going to open it up to the floor in just a moment, but obviously, Tyson, I think it's appropriate that we give you an opportunity to tell everybody one more time, what are you looking to show us in this fight?
Do I need to say any more? No, I'm looking to show the people and the boxing fraternity how good I really am. And what better opponent to do it against than a man who's been calling for the fight for
5 years, probably.
352 years. He finally gets his shot on the biggest stage against the biggest champion on the biggest night. I will not fail. I'm just going to show you how great I really am. I beat men like him 7 days a week and 62 times on a Sunday. And I'm going to prove that to you come April 23rd.
All right, Tyson, thank you very much indeed. Frank and Brad, thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, please just make yourselves known if you'd like to ask a question or two. And thank you, Ralph. Ralph will get the microphone to you. If I could just ask you, please, to identify yourself as you do that. You'll be next, sir, the white jacket. Thank you.
It's Danny Flexen from SecondsOut. Tyson, I interviewed Sugar Hill a couple of weeks ago, and he said he felt that Dillian Whyte was quite similar to Derek Chisora. What do you think are the similarities and differences between those two?
I think they're both pretty similar, to be fair. They had two good fights together. It was nip and tuck in the first fight. I actually thought Derek nicked the fight by a few rounds. Second fight was going Derek's way as well. And he obviously got chinned in about round 10 or 11. Very, very close competitive fights. So, yeah, I think they're very similar in stature and in weight and in style. And I've handled that style plenty before. And I hope you've got your interview camera ready, because I owe you one. Promise is a promise, Danny. We go back a long way.
Next one. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. Mr. Fury, the whole world is going to watch this today. What's your message to Dillian Whyte, your personal message to him today?
My personal message to Dillian Whyte today is this. I will win this fight for England and for St. George on St. George's Day. There we go.
Tyson, this is Matt for Into Boxing. With everything you've achieved in the ring, will perhaps your biggest achievement be what you've done outside of the ring in terms of helping people with mental health and things like that? Because I'm sure you get messages daily with people telling you that you've, saved a life or helped a friend. Will that mean more to you than titles in the ring?
100%. At the beginning of it all, when I was a young kid, my dream was to be world heavyweight champion. And I always thought that was my calling card until I was open with the mental health struggle and all that. It was well documented. To win a boxing match is a fantastic thing for an individual. And it's a fantastic sport and achievement, and it's good to be what you desired to be your whole life, but to save somebody's life from death, that's an even better feeling. Not many people can say, well, I saved that person's life, that person's life, that person's life. But like I say, I get a lot of mail, or I get a lot of messages from people where I help them, the brother, the cousin, or auntie, the mother, anybody. I think that's my biggest achievement in life, is saving people from death, because give them hope that there is help on the other side. And other than that, biggest achievement is wife and family, for sure. And my faith in God. Not forgetting that one.
Rack Noble from Boxing UK. Tyson, where would you rank Dillian Whyte in the top competitors that you fought over the years?
I fought some tasty competitors over the years. And I know Dillian Whyte. We go back a long way. We go back to like 2012. So he's a tough guy. He's a good game fighter, and he'll come. He'll bring what he can, and he will try and chin me. That's a fact. He's definitely up there with like the top 10 fights stuff that I've had before. But it'll all find out on the night, won't it? I could say he could be number 2, number 22, but if he doesn't perform on the night, then he'll never get the credit for it. Or if I demolition him in one round, he'll never get any credit. But if it's a good fight, then he'll definitely get his credit for sure.
Question for Frank here. Frank, could you confirm what the price is for the pay-per-view for Fury White?
No, we release soon. We're on BT box office and pay-per-view in the US, and obviously those numbers, the prices will be released fairly soon.
Tyson, Charlie Parsons, Fight Stars TV. Thank you for coming down to London. This will be your first time in 4 years in front of the UK fans. Just a message to them how important this is to you. Frank also in landing this fight. And I spoke to Sugar Hill in Vegas, and I speak to Christian Funn, a sparring partner of yours. He tells me you've got potential to go down as an all-time great. Having people around you say that sort of thing, obviously you believe in yourself, but you know, from the best people around you, how important is that?
Very important. You know, for them to believe in me is great. Like I said to this fella before, all that going down in history stuff for me is not what I'm about. I'm about being active and being what I am today. Sugar and the guy over there, sparring partner guy, good guys. You know, they see my talent in the gym. Sugar believes I can beat anybody. That's the belief that we have. We are a very good team. We're a team that believes that we can win at any single time, and we don't believe that nobody can beat us. So to have somebody like that as my trainer is very good as well. And Frank, do you want to answer that question?
Well, I
what
think
it was your bit. What was Frank's bit?
Sorry.
Landing the fight in London, Frank.
I'm delighted. This is where it should be. You know, Wembley, London, record purse bid, you know, the man, first time back in 4 years. This is what we all want. That's what British fans, everywhere I've been going, when's Tyson fighting back here? When's he fighting back here? Drive me crazy. That's one of the questions you get asked all the time. Well, he's back. 23rd April, St George's Day. Come and see the man. He's back in town.
One more up there, I think. Thank you.
Boxing King Media. Tyson, what kind of weight will you come in for this fight?
I'm going to try and come in at my heaviest weight of all time. For the biggest fight, in the biggest crowd, you're going to see the biggest Tyson Fury. I'm going to come in like a man mountain. What was my biggest weight? Can anyone tell me? I think it was like 19 stone 11, was it? Yeah. 19 stone 10. I'm going to come in heavier than 19 stone 10. I'm going to be the heaviest world champion ever. Gareth, Russell Crowe.
Okay, Gareth.
Tyson, on a more serious note, obviously you talked about Vladimir Klitschko just now, and obviously you've beaten him in the past, but just wanted to get your view on the fact that Vitaly and Vladimir Klitschko and your fellow heavyweight world champion Alexander Usyk going back to their country to enlist and sign up and halt the invasion from Putin at the moment. I just wondered what your thoughts were for those guys that they want to protect their own country.
Fantastic, you know. I'll be the first one to join up if England get involved, or America. I'll be first in line for the job. My dad will as well, and all the boys will all be signing up to defend. So that's what I got to say. I think if you're from that country living there, defend her. Love your woman and fight for your country. That's what I say.
Get on there. Everybody should be absolutely pulling for the Ukraine. You know, standing up to the bully, standing up for democracy. That is what everybody should. And those four fighters, 2 ex-fighters, and that everybody should be behind them. It's magnificent what they're doing.
Lomachenko also, Frank.
Yeah.
And finally, just to go back to Dillian Whyte for a moment, could you ever imagine not turning up to go face to face with someone at a press conference to announce a fight of your own?
You know, on this big occasion, it's Dillian Whyte's biggest chance to do his thing. He's been calling for a world title fight for I don't know how many years. He's been saying everyone's been avoiding him, running away, and all that sort of stuff. And I thought he would have came here to be a part of big-time boxing. You know, he's never been involved in a fight of this magnitude ever, and never likely to be involved in a fight of this magnitude ever again. So I thought he would have come here, sapped up all the experience and took it all in because it was his moment in the sun. But if he doesn't want to get involved in that, then that's his business. But I'm here to be a part of big-time boxing. And if Dillian Whyte doesn't want to be a part of this big event, then that's his own problem. People don't remember who the promoter was. People don't remember who managed the fighters of the night. People remember the fight, and if it was a good one, and where it was. If you look back at the likes of like Jack Dempsey and Gene Tunney 1, yeah, record crowd selling fights, who here remembers, apart from him, and him maybe, who promoted the fight, or who managed the guys? There we go. So, it's about, we still remember that fight all these years later because it was a good fight and it was a massive crowd. And for him not to be a part of it, I think it messes up his legacy a little bit as well. Because in years to come, they'll say it is a really good fight, which I anticipate it will be. He didn't have any involvement in the build-up, the media, that sort of stuff. He'll be not in any photographs. There'll be no old magazines to look at. That sort of thing. I think it's a shame, not just for him, but for his kids and for his family to look back on in time as well. This is the promoter's argument. This is not the boxer's. This is his promoter telling him, don't get involved in any media. Don't sell the fight. Don't do anything. You can't make any more money. But surely at this level, it's about him as a fighter as well. It's not just about promoting an event. It's about being here, being active and being a part of this. Because at the end of the day, his face is up there. Although he tried to sue us for not putting it up there, he's still up there and he is a part of this fight, whether he wants to be or not. So he should be here promoting the fight. That's my opinion. And I think it's tough luck for him and his family and his legacy going forward.
And he should be grateful to be involved in it. You know, the fact that we won the purse, because if his promoter put in the highest purse bid, if we hadn't bid, he'd be getting 2 million less. And he's got an upside. He's got an upside of potentially getting an extra 4 million that's lodged with the WBC
if he knocks him out,
if he beats him. So why is he not here? He's getting 2 million more. I don't get it. I really don't get it on any level.
Stranger things have happened at sea, Frank.
They certainly have.
Okay. Is there one more? Just one more at the back, Ralphie? You're going to have to do a bit of road work to get up there, unless you've got it.
Just throw it.
Shows what I know. I thought it was Doc Cairns who promoted Dempsey Tunney 1. Outscored again. Thank you, Ralph. This will be the last, folks. Thank you.
For Tyson and Frank as well. Just getting back to the battle for Ukraine, you guys can't go over there and fight like Klitschko's are, but would you back a similar move we're seeing in from other sporting bodies where they're preventing Russian athletes and Russian teams from competing?
They've already done that, actually.
They've done it. The WBC, the WBA, all the governing bodies have already come out and said that they won't allow any fights to go on in Russia. They've done that. They would have, in fact, I think they were one of the first sports to do that while FIFA were dragging their heels.
Thank you very much, everybody. We're going to wrap it up with one final comment from each of the guys on the podium here. Brad, to you.
Yeah, just looking forward to a historic night. It's, on behalf of Bob Arum and Todd DeBuff and everyone at Top Rank, we're just thrilled to be involved and be involved with Frank and Queensberry and, of course, the man of the hour, Tyson Fury.
Mr. Promoter.
Just be there. This is gonna be a great occasion. You know, the homecoming, seeing the man, the best heavyweight of his generation, seeing him in action. 4 years he's been away, and he's going to put on a show for everybody against an opponent who I know does come to fight. And once he gets in that ring, we know he's going to come to fight. But I just think that Tyson's the man, and just be there on the night and see the man.
Thank you, Frank. Once more, a shame that Dillian Whyte wasn't here, but you were very much worth. Thank you very much for your attendance. What is your last word?
For England and St. George!
Thank you, Tyson Fury. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming.
Thanks, Paul.
Well done, Brad. Thank you.
Welcome back to Seconds Out, sponsored by William Hill. I'm delighted to be joined today with George Fox, who is also a heavyweight boxer, if you didn't know. How are you doing?
Good, happy to be here.
Good. It's nice to have you here. Seems we normally have your dad-ons.
We do.
No, switching it up a bit today. So you've sparred and trained with both Fury and Dillian Whyte. How do you see this fight going?
Look, with the form, the momentum, it's hard to go against Tyson. He's the man of the moment, and the moment's been for quite a while now, actually. Yeah, I would say that for me, the two best guys that I've sparred. Tyson, we know what he's done, we know what he's achieved, we know his capabilities. I feel like Dillian Whyte is quite overlooked, starting to get more of his props now. And like we said, this is his big moment. It's a fight that he's been waiting for, that he's been campaigning for a long time. So it's going to be an interesting one.
Your predictions?
What I'll say
In early?
is, like I said, from the get-go, I would always say Tyson Fury, because he's someone that personally I've built a friendship with, that I speak to on a weekly basis. Even when I slipped up on my last fight, he was the first person to call me, to message me, give me advice, tell me how he saw the fight and everything. And yeah, so I'll say Tyson, but I also know Dillian for a long time. This is the thing, so I've got like divided loyalties. My coach, well, my first amateur coach at Stonebridge Boxing Club initially, then IQ later, was Javier Miller, who was Dillian Whyte's head coach, head trainer. Known Dillian from a long time, long time, from when he used to spar Derek back in the day, Derek Chisora back in the day, with my dad overseeing that. So yeah, like I said, I'll go Tyson Fury, but Dillian has got, you know, some dangerous tools, a skill set that's definitely underrated, and because he's been waiting for this opportunity for so long, he's got the mentality where he will go and he will give everything to try and get that victory.
Definitely. In terms of both fighters, what would you say their kind of best attributes are? How are they going to feed into each other?
So, this is when I say my one concern, let's say reservation. Tyson, we know, can box, he can fight, he can do the mauling type boxing where he's leaning on you and sapping your energy as well. He can mix it up. But with Dillian's very cute on the inside in terms of catching, countering, slipping, throwing shots that you don't see, that you can't prepare for. So for Tyson, whereas with Wilder, the game plan, obviously in the first fight, he boxed him at range, using the feints, head movement, slippery, slip and slide. And then he started to try and bully Wilder and close the distance, because Wilder, you can't really box on the inside too well. So closing the space is very beneficial to beating him, and fighting at range gives him time to land that long straight right hand. Whereas Dillian is a lot rougher and a lot more, I would say, intelligent on the dirty side of boxing, on the inside boxing, the catch and countering, whipping the body shots in at close range. So he has to be a lot more careful when he engages in that sort of, you know, close quarter exchanges than he does with Wilder. So attribute-wise, I think if Tyson boxes Dillian behind the jab, he's got a lot faster foot speed than Dillian. It'll make it very difficult for him to maneuver around the ring. Dillian Whyte, his attributes, like I said, great catch and counter game, power in both hands, good at mixing up the body shots, throwing blind shots that you don't really see coming, good traps. So yeah, they've got a styles that should gel, should make an incredible night of British boxing.
Do you think it's kind of mind games from Dillian not turning up today, or do you think it's he's in a different country, he's just got too much on?
You know what it is? Because knowing all these characters like very well, Dillian is like erratic in sort
Not
of
trying
nature.
to say too much.
No, he's in nature and thought. He just it's like whatever. Like I'm gonna do what I want to do kind of scenario. So he's obviously gathered. He knows Tyson is a wordsmith, great with, you know, planting seeds, winding you up, stealing the crowd. He's got a huge aura, an aura that's unmatched by most, to be fair. And Dillian probably didn't want to get into a war of words with him. They're probably away, diligently working on a training camp, working on what they believe they need to do to win the fight. And yeah, just trying not to be a part of the show. And as Tyson Fury said, what is often the Tyson Fury show. So I understand it. I personally would be there myself. It's part of history. It's an occasion. It's a chance for you to plant your seeds and play some mind games as well. But yeah, he's probably thought, forget it, I'm going to do what I want to do. So.
Definitely.
And he's in Portugal as well. So they're traveling to the UK for a press conference, just to travel back. logistics of it. Probably just couldn't be bothered, no.
After what we saw at the weekend with Taylor Catterall,
Mm-hmm.
Frank has come out and said he wants all international judges. He doesn't want British judges there.
Fair.
How do you feel about that?
I think that one's deeper rooted because of previous things between the British Boxing Board and Tyson Fury. There's been a few, you know, he even had to box with another license the other time. And of course, it's been based out in the States, and those reasons, both business and political. So I kind of maybe understand why that is the case. For me, fighting as well, competing myself, I don't want to say too much because you don't want to. I don't want the whole of the referee to say, because I already feel my dad's been on the end of a lot of bad decisions, hell of a lot. Training Florian Marku in a fight where he won almost every round, and the Zone actually commented on that fight. It's one of the biggest boxing robberies. We could go on and on. Derek Chisora won v Dillian Whyte, won. There's multiple. Even myself, like my last performance was nowhere near good enough. Understand, I actually had myself losing the fight 5-3. But the scorecards were ridiculous. I mean, BT Sport actually had me winning the fight. Tyson Fury had me winning the fight by 1 round, and the scorecards were like almost gave the guy every other round. So yeah, I can understand the decision, but I probably said a lot when I said I wasn't going to. But yeah, we'll see. What it comes down to is you have to perform, and if you perform, you should get the win, and you have to kind of put that faith in judges to a degree, unless you knock someone out.
Did you see Logan Paul's tweet? Not Logan Paul, Jake Paul's tweets about judges.
I didn't see it. No.
So his proposal was that we should have 3 sets of judges that are all in pairs, and they have to basically agree before they can move on to the round.
Okay, sure.
So it's kind of more, you talk it out and you have to really explain why you've given them that way.
I mean, I like that idea. I've sat down, I've thought of multiple different routes. Without, let's not complicate things. The current system doesn't work. It's broken, it's too subjective. So I get that scenario of dialogue between 2 people. It kind of, it minimalizes the element of subjectivity. At the moment, there's no accountability. Someone can just write something on a card. I've even seen judges on their phones halfway through, like looking away. Like it's very.
That was bad.
For me, it's not cool.
No.
It's not cool. It happens a lot of the time. It's too subjective. What are we scoring? The volume of punches thrown, the effectivity of the punch thrown, how the other person on the other end receives the punch. There's so many elements that you've got to take into consideration. Whether your last 30 seconds is explosive, it seems to be more important than maybe your middle part of the rounds. So it's very subjective. So yeah, I'm all for new suggestions. I do think boxing hasn't evolved for a long time. I'm all for newer, younger, fresher ideas, trying to bring a sport forward to appeal to the masses and to appeal to public and get as fair decisions as possible.
Yeah, because I know one of the comments, well, a few comments that were made about Jack Catterall was that as the away fighter, he should have been busier. But looking at the statistics, he scored twice as many punches, well, threw twice as many punches, landed twice as many.
Exactly, yeah.
I think Taylor had it like maybe a 22% ratio and he had a 44.
Yeah.
It was just completely
It was
different margins.
lopsided, yeah. I do think that, again, what you just touched upon is right. I think there's too much of an emphasis of all this. He's a champion, you've got, if you win a fight or you win a round, you win a round. I don't see what relevance it's got that someone's a champion or not. Like, what has that got to do with anything? It's almost like playing football and then someone's a reigning champion. If they score a goal, the goal's worth 2, but your one's worth doesn't really, I don't get how that works. Like, surely boxing, as far as I understand it, is a round by round basis. And if you win a round, you win a round. It shouldn't take into consideration too many of these external factors of who's champion. If you're fighting at home, if you're fighting away, all that stuff should be irrelevant, really. Should be a fair contest.
Definitely.
People pour their hearts on the line for this. People's livelihoods depend on this. Legacy depends on this. Finance, health. You're putting your family through stress, through long camps, and then just to go and perform, and for a judge or individuals to be, the judge and jury on your whole life is not too cool.
No. Is it still, in regards to Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte, is it still a 80-20 split?
I'm not too sure. I'm not going to comment on the finances. I'm not too sure of all the ins and outs. From what I've heard, it is the case, but I think the WBC have some measures in depending on winner and some other some other factors. So.
Sometimes it gets me thinking, I'm like, oh, that's like 13 mil. Oh, that's nothing. Me thinking, I've never had 13 mil in my life, but you know, I feel like I can speak about it.
Yeah, it's fun in boxing person. Yeah.
But you yourself, you know, you've trained with some great heavyweights, obviously Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte, David Adelaide. Who would you say is in your mind, who are the best prospects to look out for in the upcoming couple of years?
David's my boy, good friend of mine. That's my guy. I'm excited to see how his career unfolds. He's capable of doing some big things. It's hard, it's hard to speak on, because obviously I had my recent slip up, and a lot of life, like, for excuse being cliche, it's a journey, and you have to see how people respond to setbacks, how people respond to new situations put in front of them. So we can speculate and we can, be theoretical about it, but it's hard to say. There's a lot of promising talents. I mean, you've got Fabio Wardley, who's a bit further down the line. Like I said, you've got David Adelaide, you have Johnny Fisher, you have, multiple people coming through. Solomon, and new guys that have just signed with Sky Sports. I know a couple of them. Jamie Shakeva, very, very good boxer, amateur boxer, another friend, the guy that we have history, I have history with in the amateur scene. There's many prospects coming through, but we all have our opportunity. It presents itself in the ring, and you have to deal with business, and you'll be judged on that period. So,
exciting few years.
Yeah.
And I think the last one to kind of wrap up: who is the bigger puncher, Fury or Whyte?
You know what? Although I'm pro Fury majority of the time, I'll probably say Dillian, single punch power. I'd probably say Dillian Whyte is maybe a slightly heavier puncher, and that's the reason being is his nature of throwing. He sets more traps. So if he hits you with a shot, it'll be a shot that you might not see, and that's what they say. What you don't see is what hurts the most, or what knocks you out. Tyson is more works off the feint game, sets you up for things and hits you, but you're kind of aware when they're coming a bit more. But he is with similar height, 6'8", 6'9", 20-stone man. So believe me, you don't want to be getting hit by either of them 10-ounce gloves. So yeah, heavyweight boxing, majority of heavyweights, if they hit you clean and hard, it's going to hurt. But
yeah, it's always kind of, you never know which way it's going to go at the start of the fight with heavyweights.
Sure, yeah. So we'll see. But it's going to be, it's going to be a head of a show. I mean, they've both shown through their previous fights what they're capable of, and I think that's what it gels to be such a huge event, because you have Dillian, he's got that kind of street mentality of I'm going to win at all costs. He'll put his heart on the line, blood on the line, life on the line. Big puncher, schooled well, great coach in Javier Miller, watches and studies boxing, all the greats. So I know what he's going to be coming to do. You've got Tyson Fury, who is a man with unbreakable will, loads of courage, cojones, as we call it, as a Keith Frazier. Shout out to you, by the way, in your book. And he will try and win at all costs as well. And he has the boxing skill to match. So it's going to be a great event. England is fortunate and grateful to have such a two great heavyweights meeting each other and clashing at Wembley Stadium.
Yeah,
so
I think Frank said the biggest heavyweight British fight in a very long time.
Very long time. So we look forward. We'll be tuning in. And
April 23rd.
There we go.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Okay.